Welcome to the class of Social Science for class 9th, Geography, chapter number 2. The name of the chapter is Physical Features of India. I repeat, the name of the chapter is Physical Features of India. In the contents of this chapter, we will discuss about the physical features of India, theory of plate tectonics, movement of plates, plate boundaries, major physiographic divisions that are the Himalayan mountains, the northern plains, the peninsular plateau, the Indian desert, the coastal plains, and the islands. Okay, and finally, we will go to discuss about the conclusion of this chapter. Now, let's begin with the Himalayan plain, or with the northern plains. The northern plain is located in the southern part of the Himalayan range. It has been formed by the interplay of three major river systems, namely the Indus, the Ganga, and the Brahmaputra. So, in the northern plain, what are the three main rivers found? The three main rivers found in the northern plains are the Indus, the Ganga, and the Brahmaputra, along with their tributaries. The northern plain is also known as Indo-Gangetic Plain. I repeat, Indo-Gangetic Plain. So, another name of northern plain is the Indo-Gangetic Plain. This plain is formed of alluvial soil. Alluvium was deposited by three river systems. Indus, the Ganga, and the Brahmaputra in the vast basin at the foothills of the Himalayas. Foothill means the beginning of the Himalayas, where the Himalayas used to touch the land, forming this fertile plain. It spreads over an area of 7 lakh square kilometer. I repeat, 7 lakh square kilometer. The plain being about, this northern plain is being about 2,400 kilometer long, 2,400 kilometer long, and 240 to 320 kilometer broad. Okay, so over the area, the volume of this, we can say it's about 2,400 kilometer long and 2,040 to 320 kilometer broad. It is densely populated physiographic division. Okay, so this area is usually highly densely populated. And why it is densely? Because the fertile land, the water, everything is wet, and the land, it means the three main necessity of the human beings: food, shelter, and clothing, and other things are being, all the necessity things are being easily available here. Okay, now the material deposited by the river as its velocity reduces may create riverine island. Due to the deposition of huge quantity of silt, rivers split into numerous channels. Okay, what is silt? Okay, what is actually the silt? Silt is actually when the river is coming down, and as it used to cut off or from the ground, the landmass used to cut from in between, and the presence of the rocks enters. At that time, the rivers used to split. Okay, and as the river used to split, it used to go in a form of the distributaries. Okay, now the big river is changing into small parts. Okay, that is called distributary. Thus, a material deposited by the river as its velocity reduces, they may create riverine islands. Okay, as the water level decreases, the pressure increases, it used to create riverine islands, and this riverine islands used to create the distributaries. Now, the northern plains is broadly divided into three sections: the Punjab, the western part of the northern plain is referred to as Punjab plains, formed by the river Indus and its tributaries. Okay. Now, next is the larger part of the plain that lies in Pakistan. The Indus River usually and its tributaries mostly are lying to the part of the region of the Pakistan. Now, the Indus River and its tributaries, the Jhelum, Chenab, the Ravi, Beas and the Satluj originate in the Himalayas. Okay, the Indus River and its tributaries are been coming to the part of from the Himalayas. Okay, main Himalayas where it has been creating or originating. What are the name of the tributaries of river Indus? The names of the tributaries of river Indus are the Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas and the Satluj. Okay, this section is dominated by doabs. This section is dominated by doabs. Now what are doabs? Doabs is do plus ab. It means to water, which means doab is a piece of land which is drained into two water or which is being separated into two waters. The water is coming like this, and suddenly as a piece of land came, the water got split and flowed in another form, separate form, that is called the doab. Now here in the map, are you able to see the Sindh Sagar doab, the Jhe doab, Rachna doab and the Pari doab, Bis doab, Delhi doab? These are the doabs which have been created by the rivers of the northern plains. Now, the Ganga plains extends between the Ghaggar and the Teesta rivers. It spread over the North India, Haryana, Delhi, UP, Bihar, Patna, partially the Jharkhand area and the West Bengal to its east. Okay, particularly in Assam lies the Brahmaputra plain. The Ganga plain extends between the Ghaggar and the Teesta rivers. They spread over the North India. Okay, mostly the North India, Haryana, Delhi, UP, Bihar, partially Jharkhand and West Bengal in the east. Particularly in Assam lies the Brahmaputra basin. So Ganga basin is usually lies in the North India and the Brahmaputra lies mostly in the Assam. There is a quite bit of variety of relief features in the northern plains. It can be divided into 4 regions. Okay, so the northern plains it is divided into 4 regions. Now what are the names of those 4 regions? The Bhagar, Terai, Bhagar and Khadar. Okay, I repeat, the Bhagar, Terai, Bhagar and Khadar. The Bhabar region is a narrow belt of level surface lying parallel to the slope of the Shivaliks. This is the parallel line and this is the Shivaliks. Okay, so here this line is known as Bhabar. Okay, it's about 8 to 16 kilometers in width and consists of pebbles, the small stones, okay, deposited by the rivers. Streams and rivers re-emerge and create a wet, swampy and marshy region called Terai. The stream and the rivers, they used to re-emerge, join together, and they used to create a very wet, swampy and a marshy area that is covered with the small stones and the big stones, okay, that is known as Terai. Now, the largest part of the northern plains is formed of other alluvium that is lying above the floodplains of the river and is present like a terrace. Okay, it's looking like a terrace. This feature is known as Bhangar. This feature is known as Bhangar. Now, the younger deposit of the floodplains are known as Khadar. Okay, any new plain which has been deposited by the floodplains or any new area which has been created by the floodplain is known as Kadar. So what are the difference between the Bhadar, Terai, Bhangar and Kadar? Bhabar is actually said to be the parallel lines lying towards the or joining towards the Shivalayas. Okay. Now this is actually a narrow belt which is having a width of 8 to 16 kilometers, and it consists of the pebbles, the small stones made up by the or deposited by the rivers. Now second, streams and the rivers re-emerge when themselves, and they used to create a wet, swampy and marshy region. Okay, this is known as terai. This is known as terai. Now, the largest part of the northern plains, which is being formed of older alluvium and lying above the floodplains, floodplains of the rivers, are known as, or they have the terrace-like feature. It is known as Bhangar. It is known as Bhangar. And the newer and the younger deposits of the floodplains are known as Kadar. They are known as Kadar. Okay. Now, did you got the difference between the Bhabar, Terai, Bhangar and Kadar? Okay. So never forget Bhangar, the first one, the level, the plain level or the land level. Clear? Understand very nicely. Terai is an area which has been created by the streams and the rivers re-emerging by themselves. Okay, joining with themselves. Now what is Bhabar? Bhangar is actually the terrace-like area which is having or which has been formated by the old alluvium, okay, which is lying above the floodplains of the river. It is just like a terrace. Okay. Now, what is Kadar? Kadar is a newly born area which has been created by the floodplains. Clear? So, I hope you all understood the difference between Bhadar, Terai, Bhangar and Kadar. Now, continuing with the peninsular plateaus. They are which are also known as the tableland because it's a flat surface area. The peninsular plateau is also a tableland. It was formed due to breaking of Gondwaland. It is composed of old crystalline, igneous and metamorphic rocks. The peninsular plateau consists of two broad divisions, the Central Highlands and the Deccan Plateau. So, the peninsular plateau is divided into two parts. What are those? The Central Highlands and the Deccan Plateau. The flow of the river Chambal, the Sindh, the Betwa and Ken is flowing from southwest to the east-west. Now, the eastward extensions locally known as Bundelkhand and Bahelkhand. Now, Chota Nagpur Plateau marks a further eastward extension drained by the Damodar River. Now look again on the chart. The Peninsular Plateau, which has been divided into two parts, the Central Highlands and the Deccan Plateau. Now here it is being said that the flow of the rivers named Chambal, the Sindh and Betwa and the Ken, they are flowing from southwest to the northeast. Clear? Now, the eastward extension, which is known as Bundelkhand and Bahelkhand, the eastward extension from the eastward they are being the place known as the Bundelkhand and the Bahelkhand. Chota Nagpur Plateau is being again further extension towards the eastward, drained by the Damodar River. The western Ghats and the eastern Ghats, they are marking the western and the eastern edges of the Deccan Plateau. The coastal area, okay, there are the having Western Ghats and here we are having the Eastern Ghats. Western Ghats, you are able to see the Western Ghats in the Gujarat, in the parts of the Maharashtra, they are having the Western Ghats at that area, and the Eastern Ghats which is nearby the Odisha, West Bengal, okay, and some parts of the Karnataka and the Kerala also. Now these are the parts which are coming to the eastern and the wedges, and they are being covering for all of the Deccan Plateau, which is being situated in the middle. The highest peak includes Animudi, which is 2,695 meters, and Doda Beta, which is 2,637 meters. Mahendragiri. Now Mahendragiri is means located at 1,501 meters. Is the highest peaks in the Eastern Ghats. So name the highest peaks of the Eastern Ghats if this question comes. So what the answer you are going to write? You are going to write the highest peaks of the Western Ghats are Anaimudi, which is of 2,695 meters. The Doda Beta, which is of 2,637 meters, and Mahendragiri, which is a 1,501 meter. Okay. Now, one thing I want to make sure. Animadi, the Doda Beta, Mahendragiri, these are the peaks of the, or the, I can say, the peaks, the highest peaks of the Eastern Ghats. And among these three, Mahendragiri is the highest one. Okay. One of the distinct feature of the Peninsular Plateau is the black soil, which is known as Deccan Trap. Okay. One of the distinct feature of the Peninsular Plateau is the black soil, which is found in a huge quantity, and it is being known as the Deccan Trap. The regions of the rocks of these regions are ingenious and denuded over time and are responsible for the formation of what? Formation of the black soil. Okay. The igneous rocks are being found in a huge quantity, and these rocks are mainly responsible for the formation of the black soil. Black soil, which is being usually found in the Peninsular Plateau. Okay, Peninsular Plateau, which has been divided into two parts, named Central Highlands and the Deccan Plateau. Clear? Now these all makes the Peninsular Plateau. Now in this, the Peninsular Plateau, it is also being divided into Eastern and the Western Ghats, which is covering the Deccan Plateau. Central Highlands and the Deccan Plateau. Deccan Plateau is usually being covered by the both sides of the Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats. Clear? And which type of soil is found hugely in the Deccan Plateau, which is said to be the black soil. What is the another name of the black soil in the Deccan Plateau? The another name of the black soil in the Deccan Plateau is said to be the Deccan Trap. Now the next one is the Indian Desert. The Indian Desert lies towards the western margins of the Aravalli Hills. This region receives very low rainfall below 150 millimeter per year. It had arid climate with a low vegetation cover. Okay, there is no over there. There is no huge quantity. Any of the huge quantity of the cultivation is there because vegetation cannot be done in this area. Luni is the only large river found in this region. Okay, River Luni is the only river found in the Indian desert. Barhans cover larger areas, but longitudinal dunes become near the Indo-Pakistan boundary. Okay, now here this Barhans covers, it means the sandy area. This cover a very longer area of this boundary of the desert area, but usually we are able to see the longitudinal dunes which has been covered or created nearby the boundaries of the India-Pakistan. Okay, as you all know that the Pakistan boundary combines with India, touches the India boundary on the side of some parts of the Gujarat, Rajasthan, and also the Haryana, okay, and Punjab, including the Kashmir. Okay, till there the boundaries used to touch. Now Indian desert, which has been found in the Rajasthan, especially over there, some of the area of the Gujarat region also, there the longitudinal dunes are being found. Clear? Now one more thing, you know what you understand with the dunes? Dunes are said to be the very beautiful area. It's actually area between the two places. Okay, now that one, what are the Shivaliks? Okay, Shivaliks and the lesser Himalayas we discussed with the Himalayan region. But here these dunes are usually being found or being created with a huge quantity of the sands. Okay, it's just like the small mountains, and it used to create a sort of some slopes, okay, huge terms of the huge quantity or the slopes of or small mountains of the sun, which has been creating the boundary structure in between the India and Pakistan. Now, let's cover with the coastal plains. Now, with the coastal plains, the peninsular plateau is flanked and stretched along with the Arabian Sea, Indian Ocean and the Bay of Bengal. Okay, the western coast sandwiched between the Western Ghats and the Arabian Sea. Now here, the western coast lies between the two places, Arabian Sea and the Western Ghats. Okay, you all know that the Western Ghats is starting from the Gujarat region and coming downwards. Okay, and Arabian Sea, which is totally nearby this Western Ghats. The places are between among all the surrounding areas of the places are known as the western coast. The northern part of the coast is called the Konkan or the Mumbai or Goa. The central stretch is called the Kannada Plain, while the southern stretch is referred to the Malabar coast. Okay, so the coastal regions of the Western Ghats are being divided into three parts. One is said to be the Mumbai or Goa, that's said to be the Konkan. Okay, Konkan, what is said to be the Konkan Plain, we can say. Now the central stretch is said to be the Kannada Plain, and the southern part, the southern stretch is said to be the Malabar coast. Now the plains along with the Bay of Bengal in the east, okay, they are at the wide level. In the northern part it is referred as Northern Sarkar, while the southern part is known as Coromandel coast. Okay, large rivers such as Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna and the Kaveri are formed extensive delta of this lake. Okay, Lake Chilka is an important feature along the eastern coast. So for the eastern part, if we are talking about especially the plains of the Bay of Bengal, they are said to be the eastern plains. Now these eastern coastal plains are actually known as Northern Sarkar. Okay, the southern part, in the northern it is said to be Northern Sarkar area, coastal plains. In the southern it is said to be the Coromandel coast. Large rivers such as Kaveri, Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna, they are being formed in this extensive delta of Ganga Brahmaputra. Now, on this lake, the Chilka Lake, which is said to be the very important feature along with the eastern coast. Now, with the western coast, we are having how many types of the coastal areas? Konkan coast, the Kannada Plain and the Malabar coast. In the eastern side, what we are having in the eastern side, we are having the Northern Sarkar, the Coromandel coast, okay, and including that one of the most important lake that is said to be the Lake Chilka. Now let's discuss about what are the islands. Lakshadweep Islands is composed of small coral islands. Okay, they are earlier known as Laccadive, Minicoy and Amentev, which were named as Lakshadweep combined all together. So Lakshadweep is a combination of three names: Laccadive, Minicoy, Amentev. Okay, what are the three names of Lakshadweep? I repeat: Laccadive, Minicoy, Amentev. Okay, again, Laccadive, Minicoy, Amentev. They are being all joined together and making one island that is said to be the Lakshadweep. This island group has a great diversity of flora and fauna. I hope you understand with the meaning of flora and fauna. Fauna over here means related to the wildlife, okay, and flora means all the natural beauties of the plants and the shrubs and trees. Okay, the Piti Island, which is uninhabited, has a bird sanctuary. The Piti Island. The Piti Island is a part of the Lakshadweep. I just can make you recognize that Lakshadweep Island is a combination of several very small islands. Okay, usually the population does not exist here. Very rare population exists in the Lakshadweep region, but especially the Piti Island, where there is no living human being are residing, but still they are having a bird sanctuary in this island. Now, these are Andaman and Nicobar Islands. The entire group of islands are truly divided: Andaman in the north and Nicobar in the south. So Andaman and Nicobar Island are said to be the two islands joining together. In the north, Andaman Islands, and in the south, Nicobar Island. These island group have a great strategic importance for the country. Yes, it's true so, because this island is actually said to be the boundary area, we can say, and the touching area related especially to the Antarctica region and especially to the Australia region, okay, Australia continent, clear? So I just can say the Australia region, Andaman and Nicobar Islands is said to be the very touching area in between the area between the Australia continent, okay, and the Asia continent. So Andaman is in the north of the Andaman and Nicobar Island, and Nicobar Island comes in the south. Okay, these all together and forms Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Now here I am showing you the images of Lakshadweep Island and Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Lakshadweep Island. Are you able to see in this image? There's the Arabian Sea, and there are several small islands present over here. The Bidra, the Bangram, the Tinkara, Gati, Kavrati, Suheli, Amni, Khatman, Khitan, Chelar, Adron, Chiriam, Kalpej, Minikoi. These all are making the Lakshadweep Island. Okay, these all are consisting or making or creating the Lakshadweep Island. Now coming towards the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, we are having North Andaman, Middle Andaman, Lower Andaman. Okay. Then the Port Blair is also coming, which is said to be the capital of Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Then the Little Andaman Islands, Nicobar Islands. This is the total name given. Now Nicobar Islands coming for the south part, which is said to be the Car Nicobar, Bumka, Naukri, Tersa, Katli, Little Nicobar and Greater Nicobar. So very small places have been, very small group of islands have been found in this region. Okay, so Lakshadweep Island is related to the Arabian side, okay, Arabian Sea. Clear? And Andaman and Nicobar Island lies in the Bay of Bengal to the east of India. Now finally, let's come to the conclusion of this chapter. A detailed account of the different physiographic units highlight the unique features of each region. Okay, now it would be however been clear that each region had some complements. Each region had some its own importance and some own quality and the features. Okay, now this is all making joining together and making our country India in a very richer form, in a very I can say a wealthier form, in form of the natural resources, the mountains and the major sources of water and forest wealth. The northern plains, which are regarded for the greeneries of the country, while the plateaus are said to be the storehouse of the minerals. The coastal region and the islands group provides us the sites for fishing and the port activities, including that we are able to see several aquatic wild animals and the animals in this region. Thus, this is actually the diverse physical features of the land which have immense future possibility of development. Yes, if we are going to use the natural resources in a very good manner, in a proper manner, avoiding the pollution created by us, okay, just removing the pollution from our country and utilizing these natural resources, you will feel that India is seriously a diverse, the wealthiest country among all the nations. This is what this chapter belongs to, the physical features of India. I hope you have all understood with this chapter, and I do request you all to read the chapter properly and understand the difference between the several physical features of India. Thank you for watching this video. Have a great day ahead.